Welcome back to another NFL week week 4 preview, along with Marcus Whitman, that franchise guy, TFG. Marcus, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. I just want to let the people know we are not texting each other before we do these shows to coordinate our clothing. I wore this because I'm leaving on a flight to Mexico at 7 a.m. I guess you're feeling similarly vacation vibes like myself.
Not exactly. I'm going out to dinner after this. It's 3 o'clock here in the East Coast, but after I will be, but no, not quite Mexico. But a lot of games to dive into. Started off week 4 with a very exciting game last night as the Seahawks defeated the Cardinals 23-20 in a game that was probably a lot closer than it should have been. But Marcus, what game do you want to start us off with here today?
I want to start us off with Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. Another great game, back-to-back weeks for Philly and Tampa. This is a big test for them. It's like their season's been such a roller coaster with injuries. They continue to get more guys injured. Mike Evans is now looking pretty dang questionable. I don't think he's officially been ruled out. He has not practiced Wednesday and Thursday. I would imagine maybe we get some news about that, but they are hopeful at this point that both Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin will be back. So very interested to see kind of what does that mean for the Bucs offense here? Obviously a big challenge going against a Vic Fangio defense, one of the best in the league that just never makes anything easy on you. But for the Bucs offense, that's kind of what they need, is to have something feel a little bit easier for them. It feels like their offense, it's been functional because Baker's been throwing these haymakers, getting hit left and right. But honestly, playing at a damn near MVP level. I haven't even looked at his stats, but just watching the Bucs play, you can tell without him, they would be completely lost. But I don't know how sustainable that is for the course of the season. So getting a Chris Godwin back, that's another guy that's, as much as you love Mike Evans, he's not necessarily an easy completions type of guy. That's more Chris Godwin, those quick hitting passes over the middle of the field, some quick answers against zone defenses and the blitz and that kind of stuff. So what does that mean for this offense? And then, of course, having Tristan Wirfs, a little bit more trust in that blindside protection from Baker to hang in the pocket a little bit extra. So I'm excited to see what the kind of influx of talent to the offense means. I think Chris Godwin plus Tristan Wirfs is greater than Mike Evans. And then, big matchup with the Eagles offense going against this Bucs defense, because this is a Todd Bowles defense that's given Jalen Hurts some trouble at times, especially with blitz designs and forcing him to beat him with his arm. And the question in this game for me is, with some injuries on Tampa's defensive line, can they force Philadelphia to have to pass against them? It's basically right now Vita Vea and the boys right now, especially on the interior. Kalijah Cansey's obviously out for the year. Logan Hall not practicing this week. So you're looking to Greg Gaines, who's a decent player, but then Elijah Roberts, undersized rookie out of SMU, had a decent start to the year. Elijah Simmons and CJ Brewer, along with some edge guys that I don't necessarily view as dominant run defending edge guys. So can they slow down this Eagles run game? And then do we see a really heavyweight match between Jalen Hurts, who awoke as a passer last week? I was really impressed by his ability to problem solve in the second half against the Rams defense. And then really excited to see A.J. Brown go against Jamel Dean in this game, because last week we saw A.J. Brown against probably the most undersized group of corners that he's going to see all season long, with Darius Williams and Emmanuel Forbes. Not so much going to be the case this week, especially if Tampa wants to follow him around with Jamel Dean, who's built like a linebacker. He's one of the few corners that you actually look at kind of like you do with A.J. Brown, where you're like, wow, that guy kind of looks like a different position. So that should be a really fun matchup. Dean's having a great season. So if Tampa can slow down the run, this could turn into a heck of a game. But they're dealing with so many injuries. And their front has just been, I would say, adequate this season. That's probably where this game's going to be won or lost.
So what's your final prediction?
I'm going to take the Eagles. I just think, Tampa's injuries, it's a lot when you're going against a team this talented. But I'm going to go 26-23 or something like that in a pretty good battle here.
Okay. I'm going to be with you. Can I get a go Birds in the chat? I also think the Eagles are a more talented team. Jalen Hurts obviously knows all of the, I mean, he struggled against the Bucs in his career. He has, I want to say, lifetime 3 touchdowns to 3 picks in I want to say 3 regular season games played against Tampa. I did look that up earlier this week. But I am going to go with the Birds. I know Nolan Smith was just put on IR, but I think the Eagles had a double positive last week where they got to, experience kind of like the mentality, or not the mentality, but just the adversity of going through a loss, and they still won the game because they came back. And then, how the Eagles, especially with how calm they stay in those types of situations, not necessarily the fans. There were a lot of fire. Kevin Patullo's midway through the game last week. But I think the Eagles will be fine. And I think the Eagles are very much a Super Bowl caliber team. And I really worry about Tampa with the injuries, especially as they mount up, although the Birds definitely have had their fair share as well. So I'm going to go with the Birds, but I do want to go across the pond to Ireland for the first game for Minnesota and Pittsburgh. So let's go ahead and
Are you just a little excited for this game?
I am very excited. Now with this specifically with Minnesota and Pittsburgh, look, I'm going to be honest. Obviously, you guys know that I'm a Vikings fan, but when I look at this game specifically from a standpoint of, how are games won and lost, obviously a lot of the time it's trench play. And the thing that I worry about with Pittsburgh is the fact that Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old, and the fact that the Steelers have won 2 games so far, and the fact that they've been really ugly, and especially last week was really, really ugly. And that was one of the, ugliest wins you'll see. They forced 5 turnovers, so credit to the defense for forcing the said turnovers, but they are averaging just 2.8 yards a carry. They have forced 8 turnovers in 3 games. I don't think that's going to be sustainable over the course of a 17-game season. And my biggest thing for Minnesota, this is going to be a theme with a lot of teams in today's video, because I think there's a lot of toss-ups within week 4. But I think there's a lot of toss-ups in the fact that, basically whichever team takes care of the football is going to win. And Carson Wentz did a solid job of taking care of the football in week 3. And yes, he took a couple of unnecessary sacks, but Alex Highsmith's out. So you have another solid pass rusher out that's obviously going to play into Minnesota's hands, try and establish the run, get Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable early, which I definitely think that the Vikings will be able to do, especially with all of the pass rushers they have. Definitely worth noting, Andrew Van Ginkel is out, and so is Donovan Jackson for that matter too. But I do think Minnesota will come out with a win. I think it's the matchups benefit Minnesota more in this game.
Yeah, to me, it's whichever quarterback can find some level of comfort in this game. I don't think either are going to be particularly comfortable in this game. But big test for Carson Wentz, who, in the second part of his career here, where he's really struggled, it's been the turnovers, it's been the sacks and the strip fumbles and the ugly throws under pressure. It's not going to be easy for this Vikings offensive line going against a Steelers D line that's getting healthier and healthier. I don't know if Alex Highsmith is going or not, but with the way Nick Herbig played last week, I don't know how much that matters. So yeah, if Carson Wentz, with 4 or 5 weeks within this Vikings offense, if he can find a level of comfort, I think the Vikings should honestly coast to victory, but I don't know if they'll be able to really have that success offensively. And then, yeah, you nailed it with the Steelers offense and their struggles. I'm still out here begging to see some Caleb Johnson, because you mentioned the struggles in the run game. It's like, it's the opposite of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's like, it's broken, so go fix it. Like, at least try something else. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it needs to happen. Rodgers was very ugly against the Vikings in London last year.
He did. He threw a pick six. He threw a pick six to Van Ginkel, who is out. Who's out? That is worth noting.
Yeah. So can he make amends for that? But yeah, excited for this one.
By the way, just to say something, Highsmith is out. He didn't travel. So
okay, sounds good.
Out. Yep.
Sounds good. All right. I am going to take the Jackson Dart debut next. Oh, and my fault for not putting the graphics up there. That's I'm slacking on my end. Let me grab that real quick. In the meantime, go ahead and like the stream. Like the stream, help 2 fellas out. Help the almighty algorithm. Absolutely. Always helps. But yes, so Jackson Dart making his much anticipated debut here. And it's just kind of like curiosity going into this one. I understand like why they've like all the things that have led up to them making this decision. It's like a multi-year buildup to this, to me, what feels like a little bit of a desperate ploy to save everybody's job here. GM and coach alike. But maybe, just maybe, Jackson Dart is actually this gem in the first round that can find some answers for this Giants offense, because as low as I am on Shane Bowen as a defensive coordinator, their defense is still pretty good. It's hard not to be that good when you have that much talent to work with. If they can just settle down and find some semblance of consistency on offense that is beyond basically either checkdowns or launching deep balls, which is basically what it's been, with Russell Wilson. And when you're playing a beat up Dallas Cowboys defense, like, that's going to work. But obviously against a Spags defense last week, it was a borderline nightmare. So can they basically come in with a fresh game plan, besides just how good Jackson Dart is against a Jesse Minter defense, that this would theoretically be the style of defense I think that you want a young quarterback to go against? That's, it's hard to say this because Jesse Minter is really good at this, but theoretically speaking, you kind of know what they're going to run. It's going to be a little bit more zone forward, a little bit more space underneath to just take the easier throws. If you can really drill that into Jackson Dart, like, hey, we're going to try to win this game with our defense and, screens and throwing a ball to Scatabo and Malik Neighbors and try to get you a bunch of easy completions. Maybe this could be a decent looking offensive performance from Jackson Dart. I'm ultimately just curious to see it. Excited to watch more Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatabo in this game, who have been fantastic this season. And then, for the Chargers, when was the last time we said you go into a game and they have the advantage with their wide receiving core? It's a breath of fresh air. That is going to be the matchup for the Giants defense where they could run into trouble. I mean, dude, these Chargers receivers look awesome. Quentin Johnston's living up to his hype. Keenan Allen's been the perfect kind of chemistry glue guy addition. Lad McConkey, obviously, they got Rondé Gadsden going last week. Like, it's nuts how many playmakers they have right there. It's going to be tough for the Giants to match up with these guys. So just how much can the Giants slow these guys down? I still feel like every given week with this defensive line, Shane Bowen should be able to put up a type of game where you're holding good opponents to 14 points, 17 points, the type of game that like the Cleveland Browns had last week against the Green Bay Packers, that kind of stuff. And it just never happens. It's like, yeah, they're fine. They gave up 20 points or whatever, or against the Cowboys week 2, they got lit up. But they should have the talent to keep the game within reach for Jackson Dart. But can they actually do it? I don't have the confidence in that. I think the Chargers climb to 4-0 in this one, but I don't think, what is it, a 5.5 point spread?
6.5 when the graphics were made. Yes, sir.
I would not bet on the Chargers to cover that. I think this will be a closer game than that, just because I don't know that the Chargers is necessarily out there to like blow teams out right now.
I would agree with that. I worry greatly about Jackson Dart in his NFL debut, and it's a tough stretch for the Giants because it was either now or next week against the Saints. And then the unfortunate part for the Giants is I feel like this was the right decision to make. It's just a tough time for Jackson Dart to start because it was either now or next week against the Saints. And then, by the way, they play next Thursday too. So there's 3 games in 11 days for Jackson Dart. So he's going to get, you talk about thrown to the wolves. He's thrown to not just one, but he's thrown to about a dozen wolves right now. And
yeah, I just wonder how much of that is Brian Dable saying I might only have one more week before I get fired. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's a complete nightmare situation all around. I for Jackson Dart, I hope he does well, of course. But when you look at the situation, it's obviously not one where you're thinking, hey, this is a good one where he can come in and thrive. Sure, he's not playing Jesse Minter and Vic Fangio and twice in 11 days, and then also playing the Saints in the middle of this. And then he's going to come in and have it's going to be sunshine and rainbows. This is a very difficult start. There's also one thing that I did want to throw in. I don't know if you saw this. There was a clip of Jackson Dart, or Eli Manning had a clip where he basically said, hey, reach out if you need anything. And Jackson Dart reached out to him about making reservations at this very exclusive place in New York. So if it could age horribly, like is all I'm saying regarding that. But I do think the Chargers win as well. I'm not in the business of betting against a Jim Harbaugh team, especially against a Brian Dable team that's now 9-25 since or 9-26 since the start of the or 9-26 since the start of
bad.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Since the start of the 2023 season. I think there's a very real possibility they go 0-4. I just hope that there's better quarterback play and that there's, if they get down inside the 5-yard line, that there's not an intentional grounding. That's, a high bar there. But You look to see strides for Jackson Dart, but I'm not going to choose the Giants in a game like this where they're outmatched at multiple levels. So,
all right.
We're going to stay in the division, actually. We're going to head down I-95. We're going to go to Landover for Falcons Commanders. So, wait, is this game?
No, this one's in Atlanta. It's in Atlanta.
It's in Atlanta. It's in Atlanta. Okay,
yeah.
so
you could just keep driving south. You're fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'd have to get on a different interstate, and eventually I-85 would be the interstate. Anyway. know your geography, folks. Know your geography. But anyway, so first off, the first note that I have the Washington Commanders on bird alert. Jaden Daniels is out. Terry McLaurin is out. The Falcons, tale of two teams so far. They absolutely dismantled my Vikings. The 2025 draft class looked phenomenal. Not just one player, but James Pierce looked good. Jalen Walker looked good. Billy Bowman looked good. Xavier Watts looked good the next week. The one thing that I want to highlight within the Falcons' loss to the Panthers last week was they really did not look bad defensively. They were put in situations to fail. I mean, the one interception from Penix, and this is Michael Penix himself said that he has to take what's open. I went back and watched the tape this week, did a breakdown earlier in a video earlier this week where there was a play where it was the first interception to Bijan where the Falcons had a clear out and then they had a dig within the same play. The dig was wide open. I mean, it was as there's NFL open and then there's wide open. Nobody's within 7 or 8 yards of them. Penix kind of does this thing. I kind of described it as, if you're ever playing basketball where somebody's, doing all the hand motions, like, over here, over here, over here. And then the whole time they know they're going to throw it to their buddy in the corner. That's kind of what Michael Penix does. It's like he's looking down the field, but it's kind of like nobody's home. And I don't know how to describe his playing style at this point other than that. Now, it's definitely coachable because he's definitely made good reads before in the NFL, and we're also less than 10 starts in his NFL career. But the Falcons defense is 5th in EPA per play. So again, there is a lot of potential here with the Falcons, especially with a backup quarterback and especially with Terry McLaurin out. So I do like Atlanta's potential here to bounce back. Like we said, especially with the Falcons coming off of as bad of a game as they played last week against Carolina. For the Commanders, given that they have no Jaden or no Terry, the goal is going to be to continue to establish the run. They ran for more than 200 yards last week, and they've ran for 200 yards in 2 of 3 games so far. And one big thing here with Dan Quinn that they did a solid job of, especially situationally last year, is to pressure the quarterback. And, they don't have a definitive, tier 1 alpha pass rusher, but when it comes hell or high water, they do a solid job by committee. And if they're going to win this game on the road with a backup quarterback, that's going to have to be, they're going to have to be able to do that consistently because Penix under pressure, he has not shown consistently that he can, make the correct decisions and process the game the right way. And the second interception last week was also really bad. He threw a ball from far hash without even looking. And it was pretty much the equivalent of, hey, I'm going 85 down the interstate and I'm just going to merge lanes without even looking. And that was pretty much what he did. And it was an interception the other way for a 50-yard return. A couple plays later, the Panthers went up 27-0. The keys to the game for Atlanta: do not lose the game. Do not put your defense in a situation to lose the game like you did last week, because the defense this year has been really good. And you're also facing a backup quarterback. Just don't lose the game and establish the run. Continue to let Bijan cook, and I think Atlanta wins this game.
I still lean with Washington in this one, honestly, even with Mariota out there. I think it does, and I don't go this route very often when I analyze and predict games. But to me, this one really is a battle of will. Like, I love breaking down scheme, matchups, X's and O's, as you guys love, but as you guys know. But with Washington last week against the Raiders, like I broke it down on my weekly review show. I don't have the numbers on me anymore, but they basically dominated in terms of yards after contact, missed tackles forced, special teams. It was just like a team effort, just like willing them forward to victory. And I don't know that Atlanta's in a great spot to like come out after a tough loss against Carolina and out physical this team and be the better tackling team. And even it's crazy to say with a team like Bijan, with a team with Bijan, to say that they're not going to be better at getting those yards after contact. But I was just so impressed by the overall team effort of Washington last week. And it sounds like lazy analysis, but it was something you really felt watching Washington last week. And I think they're just rolling as a team right now. They've shown this countless times at this point. well, it's like 3 times. You can count that many times. But with Marcus Mariota, this team plays together really well. So I actually still lean towards Washington. I originally was going to say bet on Washington if Jaden was playing in this game. I don't know if I'm quite that confident in it, but I still like Washington here.
So do you think the Commanders are on bird alert?
You know what? That reference honestly goes over my head.
It's just the fact that the Falcons are a bird and they might win. That's literally it. That's it. That's literally that's it.
All right.
I just like saying it. They're dogs, hungry dog. Hungry dogs run faster. We got to bounce back. They're on bird alert. That's literally the entire.
It is fun to say. I'll give you that.
It is. It rolls off the tongue.
All right, we're gonna go back up the East Coast here. Okay. I don't know the geography, the highways to take necessarily here, but we're going to go to Foxborough, New England for this one.
You want a little hack, by the way? Outside of Charlotte and Atlanta, because they're more west in the state, literally it's I-95 for all of them, because I-95 runs from Miami to Maine.
Okay, sounds good.
So yeah, Jacksonville I-95. Yep.
I wasn't a Southern resident long enough to get that all straight. My 6 months in Charlotte, my highway terminology was pretty limited, but this should be a fun one, man. A couple teams that had some hype coming into the year, right? Both these teams would probably, if you looked at the sort of bottom feeders, if you will, these might have been the 2 teams that were like, look out for these guys to be maybe like playoff hopeful types of teams. So a big week 4 game for either of these teams to kind of maybe capture some of that hype. But they've been all over the map to start the season, right? So where does this kind of land in this matchup from that narrative? Really excited to see, hopefully, T-Mac against Christian Gonzalez, which could end up being like a gladiator style. Like both these guys are beat up, but they're kind of toughing it out. You got Gonzalez battling through a hamstring injury, T-Mac dealing with a calf this week. Pretty unlikely, I guess, that both these guys are full speed and we get the glory of that matchup. But that could be a really fun test for T-Mac. And honestly, the Panthers offense needs T-Mac right now. They've discovered that. They have been funneling targets his way. Even if he's not catching the ball, he's drawing DPIs, and he's their answer against the blitz as well, which they've really struggled with. So that's going to be a big deal is just how healthy is T-Mac and just how much can Christian Gonzalez take him away. I think if that matchup leans New England's way, New England should be able to win this game. But if T-Mac is playing well, I kind of trust the Panthers offense, honestly, a little bit more than New England right now. Drake May is like a week-to-week eval for me right now. Some weeks he looks great. Some weeks he's throwing the ball to the defense 2 or 3 times a game, fumbling the ball left and right. I love Drake May, but I just need to see some more consistency from him, man. It's becoming a little bit frustrating. So the other key matchup in this one that I'm excited for is the Panthers pass rush against the Patriots offensive line. No, the Panthers pass rush has been brutal for a long time, but I thought they woke up last week with Nick Scorton looking healthy, especially I thought was a heavy impact player. But both of the former Vikings that this team has committed to, DJ Wanham and Patrick Jones, are out. And I raised the question of if that's a good thing for the Panthers, because you're going to get a lot of Nick Scorton. Princely Umanmielen has played well this year. And then you also get the kind of Tershawn Wharton, Milton Williams, quote unquote, matchup in this game. If you remember, the Panthers cashed out to bring Milton Williams in, and he got a little bit more money to go to New England, and then they ended up getting Tershawn Wharton. So can Tershawn Wharton maybe outduel Milton Williams in this game? Probably not. Milton Williams is playing really, really well, but I do think the Panthers have a better interior O-line, especially with Cade Mays looking pretty good, stepping in at center, than what New England has there. So can the Panthers get that pass rush going a little bit, enough to help this defense play well, as they obviously had a shutout last week? So yeah, some definitely interesting narratives for this game. Very difficult game to pick. I don't agree that this should be a 5.5 point spread. This to me feels within a field goal. Just give the home team the 2.5 points or whatever. I will lean New England, but I'm pulling for my Panthers in this game, but I'll take New England in like a 23-20 type of game.
I love the score prediction there. And I'm also 5.5 for New England's a lot. 5.5 for either team would be a lot. Especially for the Panthers coming off a 30-point win. I feel like that's kind of disrespectful towards the Panthers. But I am very much looking forward to seeing how the Panthers, after a 30-point win and seeing how they play. And like you said, the Panthers pass rush this year has been woefully bad, and the Patriots offensive line it's the Patriots offensive line. I would kind of say this is a stoppable force versus a movable object type game from that specific matchup. So that's definitely one to pay attention to. I generally lean towards the home team in these types of games, especially with the Patriots last week, because that was a game the Patriots, I mean, you have to credit the Steelers for making the plays defensively, but this is a game that was a game that I thought the Patriots that the Patriots should have won. And I don't want this to come across as Bryce Young slander or Panthers offense slander, but I don't think the Panthers offense played particularly great against the Falcons. And it was because the defense played so good. So the defense played great, of course, but I wasn't, man, the Panthers offense, we have something cooking here type thing, right? I'm going to go with the Patriots to win this game. I think it's kind of a hold your nose and pick one. 23-20 is really that's 20-17, 23-20, somewhere in that area. I'm with you. I really like that general score prediction in that area for this specific game. Now, Cleveland, Detroit, or should we say Detroit, Cleveland is up because it's in Detroit. Sorry, I did have that written down. This is an interesting game for a couple of reasons. Mm-hmm. This is a lake game. So we have the three Lake Erie teams. We have Detroit, Cleveland, and then, of course, Buffalo all the way up on the other side. With the game plan here for the Browns, very simple. You cannot get down 14 points at any point. If you do, it's over. You're not going to come back down 14 points because the Lions are a team, unlike a lot of other teams that we've seen that are good. I feel like that they are on the higher end of whenever they have a chance to step on your throat, they full on like step on and just keep going and you're up 14. The next time you look up, that might be up 28 points. So Cleveland cannot get down 14 at any point. I do want to credit the Browns defense. They are 5th in EPA against the run. They're 21st in EPA against the pass defensively. So definitely something to note. Double, even triple team Myles Garrett if you have to. Myles Garrett last week. The clip where he beat the left tackle inside was hilariously awesome. Just because the Packers left tackle just screamed for Jordan to run. That's the type of fear that Myles Garrett's instilling in other, grown men. Triple team Myles Garrett, whatever you have to do, just get him out of the game.
That was the highlight of the week. That was incredible.
It was. I mean, that's a grown man.
Run!
That's a grown man we're talking about. Not me at like 170 pounds, but like a 300-pound NFL lineman. But
hey, anyway. I'm glad he did. I'm glad he said it because otherwise Jordan Love could have taken a crazy hit. Look, gotta do what you got to do.
I'm not looking forward. I'm not looking forward to facing Myles Garrett next week. Although there will be some good Myles Garrett versus Christian Darrisaw reps, which I am looking forward to. But double or triple team him, whatever you have to do. A chip is not going to be enough. Just sell out to stop him. And then I also have for the Rust Belt area. This is a good Rust Belt game. We have Ohio State versus the team up north. We have Tate Ratledge versus Mason Graham in this game. So it's definitely something to pay attention to going back to college. I also have feed Quinshawn Judkins for the Browns, and then I kind of also put for their game plan, feed Quinshawn Judkins and hope you don't turn the ball over, because if you do, it's probably going to be a long day. The Lions are 10-point favorites for a reason. For Detroit, I have spread the ball around. They are first against the run this year in EPA. So it's going to be tough for Cleveland to get going. And then at that point, you have Aiden Hutchinson being able to get after the quarterback. And if you're down on the road with Joe Flacco trying to lead you back against this team, it's going to be tough. That's, I would say attack Terry and Arnold at that point. But I have put in past situations for Flacco to beat them. Take your choosing of weapons against Cleveland. Laporta has yet to score. He's the only offensive weapon out of all of the guys they have yet to score. Thought that was definitely noteworthy. And David Montgomery had the game of his life last week, 12 for 151 and 2. Continue to pound the rock and stay away from 95 is the game plan for the Lions. Not surprisingly, I am taking the Lions to win this game.
Yeah, I thought last week Green Bay just didn't really take the Browns all that seriously. Their offensive game plan was wildly conservative. That Detroit is not going to do that. They never have a conservative game plan. They're going to play within themselves. And as good as the Browns pass rush is, I think having such better answers with their playmakers with Detroit, they're going to be able to get the ball out to Amon-Ra and Laporta and Gibbs and these guys. So I think Detroit's going to have a much better day of offense than say the Packers were last week. I don't know that they're going to dominate necessarily, but I think they can put up north of 20 points. And if you can score north of 20 points against this Browns team, you're going to win the football game. So
Right.
I definitely like Detroit. I think the 10-point spread's right. It's about right. I think it's going to come down to probably if Joe Flacco turns the ball over a bunch at the end of the game or not, like you said.
I just have one last thing to add. The Browns in 3 games have put up 16 points, 17 points, and 13 points. So this is very much like a race to 20. You get there, you should be good as long as you just don't lose the game, multiple pick six type thing. Like a once a season or once every couple season type game. You get to 20, you're good.
Yep, agreed. I think the key though is don't go in with that mentality, because I think that was Green Bay's. I think that was Green Bay's mentality last week, and it hurt them. I think Detroit's going out to score 45 every week, no matter who they're playing. But yeah, as far as results go, I totally agree with you. All right, so next game is going to be New Orleans at Buffalo, and I guess I have to be careful. I have to be careful saying I don't expect this to be much of a game, because I said that last week about the Packers Browns.
Really, what happened?
This is the week 4 preview show, Garrett. Yeah, I mean, this is the type of defense that Buffalo has crafted their offense to exploit, this sort of Fangio style, 2-shell, top down zone style defense. And man, Buffalo shouldn't have any holdups doing what they've done all season in this game. Like, it would be a wild surprise for New Orleans defense to give the Bills any sort of, resistance in this game, frankly. So I'm expecting this to look every bit like that Bills game script, kind of like the Jets game week 2, where it's like, yeah, I mean, the Bills are just getting 6-7 yards wherever they want, whenever they want. And it's just impossible to win in that type of scenario if you're New Orleans with the where this offense is at, right? Like, I think Spencer Rattler is, do we call him a fun watch, an adequate watch? I don't know where he lands in there. I haven't necessarily had too much fun watching Spencer Rattler in the Saints experience, but it hasn't been horrible. They should be able to get a few plays and try to play keep up. But yeah, this should be a 31-17, 34-14 type of game. Like, yeah, I'm going all Bills in this one. I don't know how you couldn't.
So you did say 6-7 at one point. The crowd, the chat is going crazy because you said 6-7. So just I don't
know what it is. I don't know what it is about
my eyes perked up whenever you said 6-7. So I did have to note that. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what the reference is other than people go crazy.
Apparently, in every single video of mine, I say 6-7, like clockwork.
Yeah. I don't know what the reference is.
It's a good number range. It's a good number range to use.
But the one thing that I would say, Matt Milano, Ed Oliver, both out. But I mean, you're on the road. Spencer Rattler is now 0-10 as a starter lifetime. I don't think he's going to get his first win in Buffalo as a starter. I will ask you this question off of this. Do you think that they're going to turn the keys over to your boy at some point? Of course, referring to the 40th overall selection, Tyler Shuck.
I just feel like you have to,
right?
Because you drafted him, like otherwise, what was the point? You look like an idiot if you don't play him, whether or not he's winning the job or not. Like, you have to go to him at some point before like mid-season, I think.
Right. So whenever I did my Saints preview, and I want to go off this real quick, it's just, I kind of said, okay, hey, you took Tyler Shuck, who's 27? What he's
right?
He's 26.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that this was kind of how the Saints season would go. You're 0-3. I would be extremely, extremely shocked if they're 1-3 after this. Everybody would be. This would be like a once in 5 year type win. But you spent the 40th overall pick, for a fact. Well, I don't know if Mickey Loomis would ever openly admit this, but a lot of people know you're going to have a top 5 pick next year.
Yeah.
Which is prime quarterback territory. You just spend a top 40 selection, not top 50, but top 40 selection on a quarterback. So at what point do you see what you have? And then look, I was kind of frustrated with the selection, not Tyler Shuck as a prospect, just because I thought this is exactly how it would play out, that they would be in this situation. Tyler Shuck is around a roster that's bad. He's very old. And unless he kind of lights it up and looks like Superman, they're going to take a quarterback. And I feel like it was a waste of a top 40 pick, but we'll see how it plays out.
I think it might be the last time that a rookie is older than you, Garrett.
No, he's younger than me.
He's younger than you.
Yep, he is.
Yeah,
But he is. I'm 27.
That ship has sailed. That ship has sailed.
It did. It did. It did. Speaking of sail, we're going to Houston. Although we're not really shipping a sail, we're going to Houston for Titans.
I'm enjoying the geography lesson for the international viewers tuning in. They're getting a nice. Did you see the viral British person tries to name all of the U.S. The NFL teams? Did you see that?
Yes. I live for videos like that. And I also saw this thing on Reddit earlier, and it was like naming teams based on their logo, and it was the Kansas City Cavemen was one of them.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah. Okay. Then the same thing. It was awesome. That was awesome.
The Packers were Gatorade.
That was all. I did. Yes. Just that, but that was awesome. So, Titans Texans. I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to preface this with I have absolutely, and there's a reason I'm prefacing this. I have zero hatred towards the Titans. My team has never lost to the Titans where I'm like, you know what, man, I have a vendetta against them for the next 10 years. I am so frustrated for the Titans fan base right now because you're undisciplined every week. You commit stupid penalties every week. Your head coach is, your head coach is not good. I'll be nice and say that. And last week you had a division rival beat you in your place by 20 points. And after the game, Michael Pittman says, hey, we knew we were going to beat this team in warmups because we saw that they were just, they weren't hustling. We saw how their mentality was. And this was at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. And for Tennessee, they are, and keep in mind, obviously the Seahawks and Cardinals have already played, 25% more of the games that they have than them, 4-3. The Titans have way more. I mean, they have significantly more penalties than them at this point. The Titans are minus 164 yards on the year in penalties, meaning that's how much of a difference they've had. This is per NFLpenalties.com. The Pittman quote was awful. They had a sequence last week before the half. I don't know if you saw this, but for anybody who didn't,
I saw it. It was so bad.
This is what I'm talking about. It was 3rd and 2 on the Colts 40. So they're at like a 57-yard field goal, right? Tony Pollard runs up the middle for a yard. 4th and 1, there's a minute, whatever, or 40 seconds left, whatever, right? We're less than 2 minutes. The Colts take a timeout, understandably. So, hey, we're going to, timeout. We want you to kick the field goal so we can get the ball back. The Titans then take a timeout. And then after the Titans take a timeout, there's a delay of game. I mean, you cannot make this up for how incompetent it is. And then to make matters worse, so we go from a 57-yard field goal with a delay of game. Now we have a 62-yard field goal, and it gets blocked. And then it was a 17-6 game.
It didn't just get blocked, though. It got hardly tipped, and if they had those 5 yards back, I think it would have still got in.
That's what we're talking about.
Because it barely missed to the left.
And then the Colts go down and get a field goal to make it 20-6 before half. Yeah. I am so far out on Callahan just due to the penalties, the undiscipline, the lack of guys really trying. I mean, just imagine Justin Jefferson coming in and saying, man, I saw Micah Parsons in pregame warmups today, and I just knew we were going to win. And then you go win by 21 points. I'm out, man. I'm out. I'm out on the Callahan experience. I'm done. I think Houston wins this game, and Houston has their own plethora of problems. By the way, the offensive line has been horrific. Houston's 28th in offensive EPA per play. They're 16th in defensive EPA per play, but they're 11th in pass defense. And with the Titans offensive line with J.C. Latham out, I really worry about Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. And then, of course, the Texans secondary with the Titans receivers really outside of Elikai Omanor not being able to consistently, win. This is a recipe for 17-7, 20-10, like one of those types of games. I think this is going to be low scoring, and I think you have to start. I mean, not start, but I think you have to wonder how long Brian Callahan goes, because I would be shocked if after this game, if they're not 3-18 in the Brian Callahan era. And I kind of ask the question in the nicest way that I can: what positives are there to go off of to continue to keep him around?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you when they lose this game, because I'm 100% with you. I think you got to just rip the Band-Aid off. Like, seriously, hope for that kind of fun interim season where the team kind of rallies together and develops at least a locker room identity, and then you can go maybe put together a better staff next year. I do think Cam Ward's like keeping his head above water. I'll at least say that. Like, I think he looks totally fine. He's making his rookie mistakes, but I think he's at least helping this team stay in some games at times. But yeah, Houston's got some serious troubles of their own right. I saw before we sat down, I think it was, I don't think it was Diana Rossini, but it was one of those NFL insiders. She was saying that it's going to come out within the next couple of weeks. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in Houston. So I don't know what that's all about, but we saw Chauncey Gardner-Johnson get released this week because he was like at a disagreement over scheme usage. Yeah, Houston's got a lot of issues going on themselves. I'm seeing a lot of pre-shades of like Brian Flores, Miami, how that all shook down, where he's doing great with the defense, but everything else is a mess. I love D'Amico Ryans. I really hope it doesn't go that way. But he's got to get that team under control, and hopefully a win here can help do that. But yeah, I don't see Houston losing this one. I don't know if they'll cover a 7-point spread either because of what you said about the offense, but
I do want to just say one more thing about this game. I don't think this is not like the worst situation of all time by any. It's not even close to that. But this is easily by far the most frustrated I've ever been with the situation, just because of how preventable a lot of these things are. And I mean, the whole thing, the Pittman quote is kind of just the cherry on top for what I think has been the Brian Callahan era. And I genuinely feel bad for Titans fans, but I'm not going to. I don't think there's any team I would choose the Titans to win over at this point. Maybe the Saints at home, and that's a big maybe. But it's, you know what I mean? Like it's So yeah. Anyway,
all right. Indianapolis at the LA Rams is where I'm going next with this one. Another great game here. Can the Colts keep things going? Can the Rams bounce back really from a pretty devastating shock loss last week? Felt like they had a great game plan and were in control of that game until they lost it in the end. 2 blocked field goals in the fourth quarter, obviously. But unfortunately for the Rams, like they don't get any time off here. The Colts are a very similar style of team to how Philadelphia likes to play. So like, obviously, well, you think back to Detroit last year, they had that run of like teams are 7-0 or teams are 0-7 the week after you play Detroit because it's such a physical grind to go against that team. I think that's a similar toll that the Eagles impose on teams, and now they have to fly back from the East Coast and get ready for a Colts team that it's like same idea. You got to tackle Jonathan Taylor. You're going to end up with these undersized corners again matched up on Michael Pittman and Tyler Warren at times. They're going to have to bring the physical element again and take this Colts team seriously that 3 weeks ago they were maybe hoping this was going to be a nice bounce back opportunity again after Philadelphia. So I don't think this is going to be an easy game for the Rams. I think this is ultimately going to come down to what sort of steps Lou Anarumo can take with this defense to get against a Rams offense that I think has mostly been excellent this season in both phases. The running backs look good. The Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua combo has been borderline unstoppable at times. And obviously the Eagles have an excellent defense, and the Rams still put up what should have been 32 points if they made their field goals. So I do still think the Rams win this one, but is there a world where I don't want to call this a trap game because they're going against a 3-0 team. There's a different word out there that I can't think of right now, but a game where they kind of get punched in the mouth a little bit and the Colts actually have a chance at pulling this upset. So really looking forward to this matchup. It's a tough game to pick. And just one more point on that Colts defense. Like the offense is obviously like humming, and I don't know that that's necessarily going to slow down. Daniel Jones just looks out of this world, like compared to what we've seen from him. Like he's pushing the ball downfield, he's breaking sacks, he's extending plays. I don't know where the hell all this came from. And I was someone that was very pro going to Daniel Jones. It's pretty crazy, but if the Colts defense can actually step up in this game and take that leap with Latu had a good game against Tennessee last week. Shavarius Ward has played well. He missed a week with the concussion, but he's played well when he's been in there. If Lou Anarumo with some more time with this defense can get this to just be the 12th best defense in the league, like just how far does the conversation go with the Colts here? And this is a huge week to kind of make a statement there now into their 4th week on the season. Like I said, if the Colts defense steps up in this game, I think, and they win this game, we are going to have to decide where exactly we're placing the Colts in the AFC hierarchy, because they kind of got it all going on right now.
Yeah. So with the Colts, there's a couple things that I want to discuss. So I have a video coming out tomorrow. It's called The Biggest Surprises of the NFL Season So Far. And within this, I highlighted one specific play from Daniel Jones last week that the old joke was if Mahomes makes this play, the internet breaks type thing. But it was an insane play where Josh Downs was running a post, and when he was running the post, they had safety help coming over the top in a middle of the field close type look from the defense. So Josh Downs kind of like he faked out to go and then run the post, and within this happening, Arden Key was running directly at Daniel Jones. I mean, he was about to hit him. He wasn't 15 yards away. He was in pursuit. Daniel Jones just kind of has to just throw it to an area and have Josh Downs run under it. But with the separation Downs created within this route, Jones had to kind of like banana peel him back so that the safety kind of didn't like pluck it over the top. And for DJ to be able to make this type of play within a quarter of a second to realize and process everything that was going on, I mean, that's one of the highest level throws that you'll see situationally. I don't care that it was against the Titans. Daniel Jones is playing at a high level. And then Jonathan Taylor is also playing at an offensive player of the year caliber level as well. Quentin Nelson is right now the fourth best run blocking guard in football per PFF. And like you mentioned with the travel with last week against Philly, a team that, you also have to deal with the tax of playing them because of how physical they are. I'm hungry dogs. I'm going with the Colts to win this game.
All right. I like it. I like the bold call.
I am. And this is Indiana
it's just
Jones.
Tough.
I'm going with the Colts to win.
Yeah. I can't blame you. I'm certainly not betting this one, but God, Matthew Stafford and these receivers, it's also really
clarity.
Fun to watch
For clarity, I'm not betting either, just for clarity.
Yeah.
But I do think the Colts win. But
I like it.
I do want to. I forget which interstate it is. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a West Coast guy. I'm going to go for we're going from LA to Las Vegas for Bears Raiders. So this is an interesting game. And one thing that I do want to note real quick is the NFC North has 3 quarterbacks that have won Offensive Player of the Week. No big deal. Not sure which one who hasn't. But anyway, Caleb Williams won the Offensive Player of the Week last week, 4 passing touchdowns against the Cowboys. And the biggest thing is just to keep Caleb going. I don't think the Raiders secondary is all that good. I don't think the Raiders are talent-wise that good of a team, and I'll get more into their offense in a minute. But the thing is with the Bears, they have to try to establish the run at some point. Ben Johnson, we know, he wants to continue to try to establish the run. Obviously, he's going to be limited there all year because of the players that he has. But the biggest thing is just continue to try. In worst case, you get Caleb going and hopefully have back-to-back good games. And I don't think that there's any reason that Caleb Williams can't throw for multiple passing touchdowns against this team. And the Bears have a strong possibility of winning this game. And my biggest thing with the Raiders right now is the offensive line is not below average. It's not, kind of below average. It's bad. It's really bad. And there's nowhere for Ashton Jeanty to run. For reference, they are dead last in EPA per rush offensively. There was also a couple of plays that we highlighted on the channel this week in a video that was released Thursday where the Raiders, whenever they're in their gaps or whenever they're, setting the run play up, their offensive linemen are legitimately getting pushed back. There was a clip last week where Frankie Louvu legitimately pancaked Jordan Meredith back, and it was on an inside zone split where Jeanty kind of cut across the grain just in time before Jordan Meredith would have been knocked back right into him. The Raiders are in a tough situation because they're going to be severely hamstrung by their poor offensive line all year. Now, the Bears, while they had a good game last week, they had a couple timely turnovers. They're not, they're not a Super Bowl caliber team, obviously. So I think that the Raiders can definitely win this game, but I have a hard time not betting, but thinking that a team is going to win with as poor of an offensive line as the Raiders have. One other note that I did want to write down, the Raiders have 4 passing touchdowns this year. They're all to Trey Tucker. So thought that was very interesting. But with this game specifically, I go back to trench play, more so the Bears offensive trenches than the Raiders than the Bears defensive trenches. So I'm going to pick Chicago to win this game.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Kind of a lot going on. But you did say it at the top of the breakdown there. The most important comment was that hopefully that week 1 offensive player of the week for JJ McCarthy isn't the peak of his entire career here. But anyway, back to this game.
The Super Bowl win in 6 months will be.
Okay. Yeah. As the backup behind Carson Wentz. Yeah.
Do you think I would care? I mean, do you think I would, like, oh no, I won a Super Bowl. Oh no. I mean, buddy,
he wins everywhere he goes. That's what they say about JJ McCarthy.
I've been waiting almost 30 years for it. My dad's 61. I would not care. There's actually
I am seeing that.
I'll share with you about this after. I'm definitely not going to share on air. You'll understand why, but I'll share after.
All right. Someone in the chat, how it be, is saying Darnell Wright is out in this game, so we could get maybe Ozzie Trapilo in there, the rookie right tackle, going against Max Crosby. That could definitely be a game-changing factor for sure. I think Crosby looks excellent this year. They're giving him the TJ Watt treatment, chipping him every single play, knowing that, there's, not that this is the case in Pittsburgh, but with the Raiders, it's like, as long as we take care of Crosby, like, Kuntz might get us once or twice, but for the most part, we'll be just fine. I'm excited to see if Caleb can keep things going. Was last week a spark that lit the flame? Was it just the Cowboys defense, like we saw with Russell Wilson, what happened the week before and after playing, or during and after playing the Cowboys? So that'll be a big deal here. And I think Pete Carroll is kind of under a lot of pressure here. That this does not feel like a Pete Carroll coached team right now, right? The idea was, this is like the Harbaugh hire was what they were going for, like raise the culture, kind of get everything under control. And last week it was so clear, like they didn't bring it. Like I talked about that Commanders game, how the missed tackles and the special teams, and it just came down to the physical element of football. They didn't have it at all last week. And that was supposed to be the whole point of this Raiders team. So he's got to get that back here, coming back home. What they're doing with the offensive line, like there's some weird quotes from Pete Carroll about like Jackson Powers Johnson has to earn the job. Like, he hasn't been healthy to compete and all this stuff. It's like, he earned the job last year, dude. Like Alex Kappa is losing the job. Put your best guys out there. Like, I understand this is your thing. Like you encourage guys to get their reps and everybody's got to earn it and all this stuff. And you technically haven't coached Jackson Powers Johnson in a game yet because he's been hurt. But like, sometimes you got to just make the right decision when it makes sense. I don't think anybody in that locker room is going to be offended if you go ahead and just start JPJ over Alex Kappa that got there, a couple months ago. So that's shaky to me. That seems like an obvious, not solution to the offensive line, but at least taking a step in the right direction. So there's just a lot of weirdness going on with the Pete Carroll stuff right now. It's a big week for him to get this back on track.
So who do you think wins?
I'll go Bears. Bears. I'm kind of buying in. I really believe in Ben Johnson, man. I think he's an absolute stud. So I'll buy into it.
Do you have any other 4:00 games? I have one more.
Yep. I got one more. Cool. And then I got the night game. Yep. So Jacksonville at San Francisco.
Wait, can I say one thing real quick? Can I say just one thing?
Yes.
It legitimately feels like these teams never play. The only memory I have of these teams actually playing was Kittle had a big 67-yard touchdown a couple years ago. These teams never play.
Fair. Yeah, I do. I remember that matchup a couple years ago. So the over-under in this game is like 46.5. That's one of my favorite bets to go lower, to go under on that. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I don't think the people, the football world, the gambling markets have caught up to how well this Jags defense is playing this year. I don't have the numbers, but I know they're top 10 in a lot of categories. But like they're playing well at all three levels. I think what Anthony Campanelli is, we got another 6'7" reference in the in the chat. I don't even know who said it or when it was said, but
I said 67-yard touchdown.
Oh,
that was on me.
It's a good number, man. It's a good number. But no, the Jags defense is like excellent at all three levels. The D line is like reaching their potential. Josh Hines-Allen is like back in shape. He's been dominating. That's going to be a fun matchup. Him against a 37-year-old Trent Williams. Trayvon Walker seems to have taken another incremental step forward. It seems like he's gone from, just like if you're looking at like his Madden rating every year, it's like a +1 every year. It feels like he's getting another +1 this year. But Eric Armstead, revenge game here. I really like the Jags D line. The Jags linebacking group has been awesome, both Devin Lloyd and Okereke, and the secondary is coming together. Like the additions they made with Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray, no one really like oohed and awed over those signings, but those guys have been excellent at their position groups. So I really like the Jags defense, and the Niners are just there. It's Ricky Pearsall or bust right now, and I love seeing my guy Ricky Pearsall like out there showing all his potential. The Niners got a lot of flack for when they spent a first-round pick on him, but that was very in line with how I had him evaluated. And he looks every bit as talented as a first-round receiver. That's huge for them, right? Because Ayuk hasn't been able to get back healthy, and he's very much a Brandon Ayuk-esque football player in terms of his skill set. So I love having Ricky Pearsall, but I don't think that can be your whole offense. They're not running the ball all that well right now. McCaffrey's been okay, but they're giving McCaffrey a lot of touches right now. I knock on wood, but I'm like terrified that he's next with this just horrible injury luck. Like, I just don't think leaning into him as much as they are is sustainable for them. Got to question them moving on from Jordan Mason, frankly, like with how good he looks. It's not like he was that expensive. So I'm expecting a low scoring game here. How much can the Niners defense keep it up? They've been one of the better defenses in the league themselves. How much can they keep it up with Nick Bosa? Now out for the season, just a brutal blow for them. How much of a morale blow is that for them? Last point, can Trevor Lawrence get any semblance of stability with this passing game? He's been all over the place. Brian Thomas has been all over the place. Travis Hunter's hardly been involved. They just don't seem to have a plan right now with this passing game. I do trust Liam Cohen as a coach, though. So if something can click there, I think the Jags could be a really good football team. If that could happen this week, could be a kind of a statement win for the Jags on a big road trip here. I'm going to take the Jags in the upset here. I think these teams are heading in. I think these teams are heading in opposite directions right now. With all the injuries with the Niners, I think they're trending down.
Can you say Duval?
The Jags. Huh? Can I say
Duval?
The
way Liam Cohen did. So
I don't know how Liam Cohen said it, but
it was like Duval. It was anyway.
It was just lame.
So somebody commented this. Shout out CG8. He said the Jags, and I don't know if this is confirmed, by the way, but he said that the Jags are 1-20 in California all time. That
oh my God.
Yeah. So and I'm gonna
that has to start creeping back to has to regress back to the mean at some point. That's insane.
That right. They're 2-5 against the 49ers, not in California, just in general. But I think the 49ers are a better team. Even with Nick Bosa out, obviously that's something to pay attention to. But I love Ricky Pearsall. I think he's in the midst of a really, really good year, and I could not be happier for Ricky Pearsall with obviously with what happened last year. But when it comes down to it, there's times where I ask the simple question. Let's not get into Josh Hines Allen against Trent Williams or anything. Let's just ask the simple question: do we think that a Liam Cohen coach team's traveling 3,000 miles and going into the Bay Area or Santa Clara, because I know Levi Stadium is like 50 miles from San Francisco itself, are they going out there to beat the 49ers in this type of game? I don't think they are. I think the 49ers are one of the, without a doubt, more talented teams in the NFL. Obviously, health unfortunately plays into this, but I still think the 49ers, they've looked good defensively. Nick Bosa is, of course, going to play into that, but I think they're going to go 4-0. But
see, I do think the Jags have shown a physicality to their game that we have. I just don't know that we fully, our minds have like fully calibrated to it yet. I really think they've played a physical brand of football all 3 weeks. I think there is something different about them this year. I think Byshal Tootin, by the way, is like
scooting tootin',
a breakout waiting to happen every time he touches the football. I'm like, it's kind of like Bucky Irving early last year. I was like, he's gonna take over this backfield. Like he looks that good. But yeah, like this would be the week to prove that that's an identity of this team at this point. It's not just a fluke. So yeah.
All right. We have Ravens Chiefs. And this is a crazy one because nobody would have thought heading into the season that one of these teams are going to be 1-2. Yeah, 1-3 after this game. And
yeah,
for Baltimore, it's obvious you have to try and stop the run. I mean, that's last week we were live for the game. Shout out everybody that was in the stream for the game. But that was a game last week where, I mean, Baltimore got their teeth kicked in defensively against the run. And there's a lot of questions right now of, is Zach Orr the long-term answer at defensive coordinator? And I don't think it's as simple as well, they made a safety switch, midway through the year last year. They took out Eddie Jackson, made a couple of switches, and that they're all of a sudden going to be fine. Just, it's going to be a tough first 6 games, tough 7 games. And I think it was actually a tough, first 10 games last year before the switch actually happened. But I really worry about this team. But on the other side of the coin with Kansas City, they have not been able to run the football at all. And they won last week, technically by double digits, but that was a very, very ugly game for Kansas City as well. And I do want to go back with one thing that I said last week. I said that Mahomes in the first 2 games of the year was playing at arguably the highest level that he's had in the past couple of years. That game that he had last week was bad. It was really bad. There were just a lot of behind the line plays. The one play to Pacheco in particular where Mahomes recovered the fumble. I mean, it was very much, what are you doing type thing. And right now for both teams, there's a lot of you just working things out on the fly. And it's tough to, it's tough to win consistently like this. Now, the positive spin that I'll have on this for Baltimore is 2 of their losses are to the Bills and Lions, which you can at least justify. It's not Kansas City losing. I mean, the Chargers have played well, of course, but the Chiefs just to be 1-2 and to also look the way they have in the process, because no matter how you slice it for Baltimore, they've put up 30 points in every game, and then they also put up 40 points twice. So it's a little different in this scenario. Now, Kansas City is getting Xavier Worthy back. That's obviously one thing that's a big thing, and Kansas City's losses have also been to the Chargers and Eagles, but I look at this situation.
You said it though. It's how they've looked in those games.
Right.
The Ravens have still felt like the Ravens. The Chiefs, right. And you can tell. Yeah.
And I would say, by the way, that first 3 quarters against Buffalo, I mean, my jaw was on the floor multiple times. I was like, you have to be kidding me. Whether it was the DeAndre Hopkins, I'm just going to stick a paw up and just reel it in as my first target as a Raven. Oh, okay, nice. Or whether it was that 2-play sequence where Lamar is back at his 11-yard line and turns into a 25-yard gain. And then the very next play, Derrick Henry runs for a 46 or 45-yard touchdown. And the Ravens, to me, I think Derrick Henry will undoubtedly get his fumbles worked out. Derrick Henry's a Hall of Fame player. He's not, Adrian Peterson, who had fumble issues throughout his career. He's had over 2,500 carries in his career. If you, do whatever they're called with the roulette tables, the samples that many times, there's going to be times where you land on green 3 times in a row. If you do 10,000 spins, right? If you carry the football 2,500 times, there's going to be times where you fumble the football probably 2 or 3 times within a 100 carry span. I don't really worry about Derrick Henry in that aspect. I think he'll be fine. The Ravens, as long as they take care of business offensively, I think they'll be good. The Chiefs are still a work in progress. Mahomes' deep ball has been, I saw a stat. I want to say he was 4 of 15 on yards, 20 past the line of scrimmage this year, which is tied with Spencer Rattler for incompletion percentage. Obviously, that's not good. I'm going to go with Baltimore to win this game. But I also want to shout out Tyquan Thornton for having the start to the year that he's had, because I wrote him off a couple of years ago, and I hope that he rebounds well and hope that he, makes me look like an idiot. He's had a good start to the year, but I'm going to go with Baltimore to win this game.
Yeah, we'll see what Xavier Worthy looks like, but the Chiefs need to change something if they're going to have a chance in this game. Whether it's Xavier Worthy just bursting back onto the scene with a pretty shaky shoulder injury or whatever it is. I'm curious to see how good his ball skills are and all that kind of stuff. If he's avoiding contact, if he's able to play through contact in his routes, with that injury, it'll be a big deal, obviously. But I mean, you look at what happened with the Ravens last week. I think the only way the Chiefs could win this game is if they actually go against their DNA and just run the ball up the middle. Because theoretically, they have the interior, the offensive line to do that. That would be the one matchup I look at this game and say, can you lean on Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith and just say, we're going to smash duo with Pacheco and Kareem Hunt and just will our way to this game? But the Chiefs have not shown a willingness to do that for years and years and years. I'm definitely not expecting them to do that. I don't think they can get into a shootout with the Ravens and win this game. So I'm all over the Ravens in this game. If the Chiefs change their identity and show us something that they haven't to this point, good on them. But it's pretty damn hard to predict that at this point in time.
If this is the last thing and then we can move on, but if the Chiefs cannot establish the run against the Ravens, then we have to have a conversation about, okay, what is the Chiefs ceiling this year? Because you're not, I would be shocked, but I don't think you're going to go back to the Super Bowl if you cannot run the football, even even close to league average the way they haven't been able to. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Green Bay at Dallas, Sunday Night Football. I really am trying not to come off as a homer here. I'm curious if you agree, but I just think this is going to be a total Packers fest in this game.
I do
like
too.
I think they're going to play motivated coming off the loss against Cleveland. Obviously, the whole Micah Parsons thing. I mean, Jerry just can't get out of his way. Did you see the quote this morning?
What was it? No, I actually didn't see it.
He basically said, like, we obviously think Micah's great, but it's not like we ever won a Super Bowl when he was here. Like, there's certain game plans you can make, especially in the run game, where you can take him out of the game. It's like,
wait, he added he added the run part in.
Yes, he said both of those things. Like, he is just egging Micah Parsons on to have the game of his life.
God, that's tough.
Like, I think that I'm totally bought into that narrative that the Packers defense is just going to put Dak Prescott in hell in this game. And I think Dak is playing great this year, but no CeeDee Lamb on top of all this. It's just like, this is a recipe for disaster. Green Bay has historically played outstanding in Dallas. I don't remember the last time they lost in Dallas, frankly. And I think the Packers offense is going to be focused. You got Matthew Golden returning to Texas. I think that's a fun narrative. Like, I think this is going to be like, I like alternate spread bets on Green Bay to win this game by like 14 plus points. I think this is going to be an absolute domination. What do you think?
I'm 100% with you. This is like, I usually craft a parlay. I know everybody cares about everybody's parlays. I know. But I usually make one where it's like, hey, I think 3 teams are going to win, get it to like plus 200, and the Packers are 100% going to be included. I look at this game and think, okay, you have no CeeDee Lamb. You have a team that's already foaming at the mouth mad because of how they played last week. And you also have the Micah return. And shout out Jay Gruden, by the way. He tweeted last week about Matt Eberflus's defense. He said he reinvented a way to play cover 0. You just don't cover anybody. So it's not cover 0 in the traditional sense. You just cover 0 players. So there was also, by the way, this is also, I heard this today. Shout out PMT and Big Cat. The thing that was, this is also just to add even more onto it. Apparently Micah Parsons bought like the box or whatever, where like first family.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he bought one of the boxes at AT&T Stadium for the full season, and Jerry wouldn't let him like sell it. Like, so Micah Parsons is on the hook for all, and those things I'm pretty sure, I mean, they're not cheap. It's not like they're like, oh, hey, they're like several $1,000s per game because you have to pay for every ticket within the box. So, I mean, I don't know if he reached out to Kenny Clark and was like, hey, do you want my
that's what it sounds like,
box, if you will.
Yeah,
choice wording there, by the way. But it was just, this is as confident as I've ever been in a team. Not as ever been, but this is one of the most confident where it's just like, this is so.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a tough night. I think you remember those shots of Kirk Cousins in the Vikings game,
yes.
the Falcons Vikings game. I think we're gonna get some shots of Kenny Clark on the sideline looking over like, why do I have to be the victim in all this?
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is. I think this is going to get ugly. And if you were a Cowboys fan, please, and you legitimately think you're going to win, please comment as to why. Like, please, because there is, I'm not exaggerating. There is no sign pointing to this that the Cowboys are going to win. You are out a top 5 receiver in the NFL. Your defense is awful. And you're also playing a team that is foaming at the mouth mad. You have the Micah Parsons return. If you're a Cowboys fan and you legitimately think you're going to win, all power to you. But I'm not. I'm out on this one. All right. Jets Dolphins game of the week. We have an AFC East battle. Now this is definitely, like I said, I'm a travel nerd when it comes to stuff. So I do think of like how long it would take to actually drive from Dallas to Miami, but then because you could fly straight across the Gulf. So, it's a lot, just one of those ones where the flight distance is significantly shorter than Miami. That's probably, people care a lot about that, but I'm a nerd when it comes to that type of stuff. So we have a battle of 0-3.
We'll need some comments on it. Do we need more or less geography on the next podcast?
Yes, I would love to. Geography analysis, I'm all for it. So that geography guy, battle of 0-3. Justin Fields looks to start. Try to establish the run for the Jets is what I have. Unfortunately for the Jets, the clear wide receiver 2 is lacking. And whenever teams pay their second wide receiver, I think you have to look at the Jets this year and understand why. that teams are paying their wide receiver to a lot of money, because this team outside of Garrett Wilson has nobody to throw the football to. It's pretty much, hey, Garrett, go make a play, or Breece Hall, please try and make a play. I mean, Mason Taylor's a 21-year-old rookie tight end, but I like Mason Taylor, but for the Jets, you have to try and establish the run against the Dolphins front four that has not played well to start the year. And what's unfortunate for Miami is this was supposed to be one of their strengths. Now with the Jets, I also have the big talent difference between players like, 7 or 8, the 7th or 8th best player in the roster, and then, like the 20th best player on the roster. And I think it's one of the biggest gaps that we have in the NFL is the Jets legitimately just have no depth. And it shows week in and week out. Hope the Jets can get their first win. For Miami, I also hope they can get their first win. But can the defensive line get going? Could someone be fired if they don't show up? Because what has to be remembered is this team last played on Thursday night. So this is the longest that you can possibly go between games without a bye week. And we'll see how that comes out. We'll see how that plays out. And then can they not turn the ball over? And if Tua does turn the ball over, are they going to, repeat and be a major thing like they have been in the past couple of weeks? Also, if Cam Newton criticizes Tua, I think there's some validation there. I'll just kind of leave it at that. But if I had to pick here, I'm going to go with the Jets on the road.
Interesting. All right. I like the Dolphins in this one. I think their offense is the only competent unit in this game. I think the Jets offense stinks. I think the Jets defense stinks. I think the Dolphins defense stinks, but at least I can lean into the McDaniel, Tua, Waddle, Hill, Achane collection of talent there at home.
Oh, that's fair. Very fair.
With all of the, as low as I am on Tua, and I've been as low on Tua as anybody for a long time, it's not even so much about him. Like, even if he throws a pick or two in this game, I still think they can move the ball. One thing I do like, as you were talking there, I was thinking, I think I like a Jason Taylor touchdown in this game. His dad played for both these teams, but he played obviously for the Dolphins, a Ring of Honor guy. I could just picture the narrative, right? And I could see Aaron Glenn trying to make that a feel good moment for him and early in his career. So I don't know, just a thought there, but yeah, I'm going Dolphins here.
I do want to say that I could easily see the Dolphins winning, because if you get Jalen Waddle or Tyreek and Brandon Stevens, that's
oh my God.
Yeah.
Talk about the most predictable thing of the entire NFL season is Brandon Stevens being a complete and utter waste of money for the Jets.
They need to bring in Azarie Thomas. Bring him in. Get him in.
Who was a bigger waste of money, Alan Lazard at $40 million or Brandon Stevens at $40 million? I think it's actually Brandon Stevens.
I would say Stevens, yeah, because he's not good. I had a buddy, by the way, before we get to the Bengals Broncos, I had a buddy who was a Ravens fan, and he just got to the point. He was like, if somebody had like a 20-yard catch down the sideline, like one of those back shoulders type passes, he just said, I didn't even look up to see who gave up the play, because I knew before I didn't even have to look up, because I knew who was giving up the play. And it's, what do you know? It's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it week 1 with the Jets Steelers game. Rodgers and the Steelers, who are very intimately familiar with Brandon Stevens in that division, they just went straight at him like all game long and had plenty of success. All right, last game here, Cincinnati at Denver. I'm all over the Broncos in this one. I mean, the Bengals aren't going to lose in as embarrassing fashion as they did last week every week, but for them to come out and basically act like they had turned the fumble sliders all the way down and just couldn't even hold on to the football. Jake Browning looked bad. But this is kind of a loosely familiar style of defense that Vance Joseph runs to Brian Flores. There's a lot of differences, but there's some similarities in terms of the creative blitz looks and stuff. I think Denver is a good enough team to just come out and take care of business in this one to get back to 2-2. They have lost some close games against good teams with the Chargers and the Colts. But I think they're better than this. And I think they come out and execute, and hopefully Bo Nix can kind of, play well and just kind of, there's a lot of narratives going against Bo Nix right now. I don't think he's played great. I don't think he's played horrible. I think he's going to come out focused, and Denver kind of rolls in this one. Sorry for the lack of analysis, Bengals, but it's hard to give you and your team much credit at all for anything when last week happened.
No, I mean, last week was an absolute nightmare. They also gave up, by the way. They also gave up within the game. I mean, they were down 17-3. There was a point where I was like, oh boy, like I'm actually sweating a little bit. It was 17-3. They had the ball at the 36. I thought, okay, here comes 17-10. And then Isaiah Rodgers, gets a fumble. It's 24-3. And then Jamar Chase fumbled, and then it was 31-3. And then, Will Reichert hit a 62-yard field goal to make it 34-3. And even at half, after that 17-point sequence in 2 minutes, Zach Taylor said, yeah, we're just going to come out and play for pride in the second half. I mean, that's it. I mean, they gave up. And it's like, I didn't think they were going to come back from down 31, especially with a backup quarterback against a Brian Flores defense. But the thing is here with Denver, if they take care of business, I'm with you. Just don't turn the ball. There's so many games this week where it's like, just don't turn the ball over. And I would say you have like a 75 to 80% chance of winning.
I'm all in on, at this point, the disaster Bengals season. Can we just fast forward to 2026 with Joe Burrow reunited with Joe Brady? Like, I want that. I just want to fast forward to that. I want the rest of the season to be over and get to that point.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up the Week 4 NFL preview stream. If you enjoyed, please definitely please like. It helps the stream tremendously. Both Marcus and I stream. Also, please subscribe if you are not already to Marcus and I's channel. And we will see you guys live next Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. I know I did have a couple comments about what is the schedule, but every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, noon Pacific. We'll just get all the time zones. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please like the stream if you did. And until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.